What up, is Marcus with Dynasty Football Dads. I'm Marcus, and this is Jackson, of course, everyone's favorite co-host. Yes, that is your foot. And so I'm hoping he doesn't spit up, but I have a verb cloth ready to go. If you're new to the channel, what are we giving away, Jackson? Jerry Judy freestyle jersey. Yeah, to the 1,000, well, not to the 1,000 subscriber, but to one of the 1,000 subscribers when we hit to that mark. So, all right, that's gonna be soon here. It's gonna be probably in maybe a week, 2 weeks, depending on how quickly we can get into this like 910 to 1,000 range. So, Dynasty Collusion is the most frustrating thing when there are rules or gray areas that might be broken, might not be broken, and we've had not fights, but pretty verbal confrontations with rules that are they broken, are they not broken? The Taysom Hill starting as a tight end, almost through like we had people that were like, this is the rule. We had other people like, this is not the rule. Like, you have to make things nice and clear. But let's talk about collusion, trades. That's going to be the number one of the biggest things is trades and tanking. So we're going to start with trades. Trades, you do not, like, first of all, vetoing power and reversing trades should not be both based solely off the commissioner. But there should be a system in place if there is collusion. And collusion is not, I don't like the trade. I think it's uneven. It is, this trade is clearly giving only one team an advantage and the other team not. So let's just say somebody traded, currently, right now, Mike Davis for CMC. Like, then you'd be like, all right, that is probably collusion to some point. Maybe they're trying to come up with something. Or, I'm going to give you this, and I'm going to give you something that is not fantasy related. Hey, I'm going to give you $30 for this. I'm going to give you this player, and we'll just kind of, I'm going to give you a better player because, like those types of collusion things. But that very rarely happens. Usually it's a trade that people do not like. And I see the posts, all these, is this collusion? Is this collusion? Many times it is not. It is just a trade that you do not like. And there are times that I've made a trade that I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to easily win this trade. DeAndre Hopkins and Justin Jefferson. I made a trade like that, and I was like, man, they were part of it, and I thought I was easily winning the trade. And it did not happen. Justin Jefferson became who he is today, and DeAndre Hopkins is still a wonderful asset, wonderful piece, but sometimes trades do not work out the way you think. And so just because you disagree with the trade does not mean it should get vetoed. Now, how does this vetoing process work? Simply, this is how I think it should work. I think three of the most veteran players, three of the most veteran dynasty members that, it doesn't even have to be the commissioner a part of it. There's kind of dodgeball rules, right? If there is 2 thumbs down of the 3, then say, hey, like, we believe that this is against our rules, or we are believing, and you can even put in the writing of the league. This is why we even have like 20-page documents in some of our leagues where it says, hey, if we believe that there is collusion or that there is a way imbalance of the trade, that is kind of the little writing, that little, like, hey, if we think this is, like, you're trying to take unfair advantage of somebody, sometimes it's new owners that are getting taken advantage of because they don't understand Dynasty as much, then we are going to veto that trade based on league kind of, I don't know, morale. Yeah, I know, buddy. Yeah, breathing a little heavy. Yeah. He's still battling, coming back from his RSV stuff. Oh, I know. We'll see you up a little bit more. So that dodgeball rules, I think that, and you can put it in writing, hey, these 3 owners who have had the most experience, and you could even have potentially a 4th or 5th kind of alternate if one of those players or one of those owners are a part, or 2 of those owners are a part of the trade. Say, hey, if one of the owners are part of the trade, they abandon their right to do thumbs up or thumbs down. This alternative or these alternative owners will take place and vote. As simple as that. If there's an up in arms type of thing. Because I think when you have a majority, or if you have a bunch of new owners that don't understand what vetoing is not just, I don't like the trade. We had this issue. I literally had to look up rules of what ESPN had, what Sleeper had, like, what is vetoing power? And vetoing power says, if there is collusion based off of it. It does not say if there's an unbalanced trade or anything. And I literally screenshot it, sent it, and people were like, no, I don't care. If there's an imbalance, I want to veto it. And so people get kind of vetoing crazy. And then if somebody vetoes their trade, they're going to start vetoing everyone else's trade. Hey, my trade didn't go through. I'm going to revenge veto. And what happens is people don't trade, and then it makes the league less fun. And we don't want that. Number 2 is tanking. So tanking, there's a couple different aspects to it. One, I mean, so you can punish players or punish teams for not starting adequate rosters. And I think that's the number 1 thing, is if they have the players and you feel like there is a clear and distinct, and that's what you have to put in writing, clear and distinct player that you are not starting because you are trying to lose, then you have this punishment. Whether it's losing a draft pick, or if it's repetitive times, let's say, hey, first one, you lose a 3rd round draft pick. Second time, you lose a 2nd round draft pick. Third time, you are kicked out of the league. Whatever it is, something along those lines, if you are clearly trying to tank when you have the players, you can put that in writing. I think that's a very smart idea, so that everyone knows what the rules are. If you don't have those and they can do that, then that is fully within the means, right? If it's not in writing and it's not in the league handbook or whatever, and they can tank and not start anybody if they don't want to, and be like, hey, whatever, I'm going to start Blaine Gabbert. You know what? You can't stop me because it doesn't say it in the rules. And that is where you fine lines of, you need to make sure that you come up with a lot of different kind of guidelines and rules, so then these things don't happen. And this comes over experience. You could probably ask other league members of what their rules are, and what problems they've run into. For example, what happens if something is not a rule? Taysom Hill, is he tight end eligible? Is he not tight end eligible? I think it's Jalen Samuel, same thing. Like, what happens when a player is clearly not playing that position, but is eligible for a different position? What do we do? And what if that's not in the rules? So if you have let's just say you could put it to a league vote, or you could put it to a majority vote or 75% vote, or whatever it is. You could say, hey, if there's a rule that is not in this rule book, it takes 7 of 12 teams to pass a rule or to make a new addition to this handbook. Something along those lines. Do it now, because if you don't do it now and you're in the middle of the season, you're going to end up with, like, I was on minority parts of the squads, majority of the arguments sometimes, parts of the arguments, and it just creates so much hostility. Sometimes we're arguing about it it's like hours and hours. It's like, we need to get past it. We need to make sure that rules are set in place. So tanking-wise, and then I would even put, if you guys have taxi squads, if you have a player that is better on a taxi squad, you do not have to start that. That's my opinion. You can say maybe you have to, but maybe you don't have to, because you would have to then drop a player in your current roster. These are all current rules of tanking that can all be put in. Or you could say, with tanking wise, you could do a lottery. I don't like the lottery as much. I think bad teams should get the 1 and 2 picks and 3 picks or whatever it is. And I think that they deserve, like, if you feel like, hey, I'm going to trade away majority of my current roster. Yeah, majority of my current roster, like, let's say I'm just trading everyone, so I don't really have a starting roster, and I want that first pick, then do it. Like, you know that you're tanking. I mean, that's a smart strategy. And taxi squads are very important, I think, a part of Dynasty that are a little bit harder for people that go from redraft to Dynasty to understand. So, kind of an overall summary. Make sure that you have these rules or different rules or whatever rules you want to set in place. It is so, so important, because what happens is teams, all of a sudden things happen, or, yeah. and there'll be, like the Taysom Hill thing last year, there'll be something new this year. Oh, COVID rules. Like, are you guys going to have COVID rules? Are you not going to have COVID rules? So we put in place with a majority vote. I'm going to sit right here. Okay. We put that we would put in a backup roster if those teams did not play. So there would be a backup roster for certain scheduled games and certain not scheduled games. If the game was going to be rescheduled, you didn't get a backup roster. If the game was going to be canceled, then you did. So certain things like that. I don't know the exact, we had it all in like a couple paragraphs, but everyone understood. like, this was the thing. And we did this in redraft, we did this in Dynasty. These are so incredibly important things. Do it now. Like, it's a dead time where you can start talking about rules. Like, hey, oh, we are gonna go from half point PPR to PPR. Well, you can't just do it now. Just do it, say, hey, we're gonna do this in 2023, 2024. We actually did this in one of our leagues. We switched from a standard to like a half point, and it's like, okay, we're gonna do this from standard to PPR. We're gonna have 5 years. But year 1 and 2, I think we're just gonna do standard, then year 3 is gonna be half point, then year 4, year 5, or year 4 is gonna be half point, and then year 5 is gonna be PPR. So we're slowly transitioning. And 5 years is a long time, but it's a slow transition. People should do that same thing with Superflex. You don't just go from 1 QB to Superflex. It will crazily change the league. Say, do it in 4 years or whatever it is. All sorts of, there's all sorts of different ways of trying to avoid tanking and stuff like that too. You can, I would say the biggest thing is just, the biggest arguments is people don't have rules in place, and then commissioner has to make a decision, and then the commissioner looks bad as well. So make sure the commissioner doesn't have a million things of power too. Like delegate, have the commissioner delegate. I'm a commissioner of multiple leagues, and I love to delegate. I love to delegate different things. Like, I don't want to be the bad guy. I feel like when it comes down to it, and if I have to make a decision, like, then I am going to be pissing off a certain amount of people. And if you keep doing that, then people are not going to have fun. And ultimately, fantasy football is fun, and dynasty football is extremely fun. So let's continue to have fun. Right, Jackson? Jackson? Will you say bye to the people? Will you say bye? Say subscribe. Say, we gotta get to 1,000. We gotta get to 1,000. Woo! Oh, and $1 on Patreon will get you a chance to win that football, that signed football. If you're not a Vikings fan, then you can just sell it on eBay or on Facebook Marketplace or wherever you want to sell it, right? Then you make free money. Woo! Yeah, it's like winning a scratch-off ticket. All right, see ya. We'll see you tomorrow, which is Sunday. All right, peace out. Take care. Now turn up.